We've been talking all week about the sort of background and potential motivations of the Orlando mass shooter who shot up a gay club in Orlando over the weekend, leaving nearly 50 dead and more than 50 injured. And former Massachusetts Republican Senator Scott Brown went on Boston Herald Radio, and he said that this was not primarily an act of hatred against LGBT people, but just an attack against all Americans. Now, some people are interpreting Scott Brown's comments as very, very offensive, sort of discounting the unbelievable reality that this was a specific targeting of a gay nightclub by a shooter who, in spite of the fact that, as we're now learning, may have been gay himself, was motivated by antipathy towards gay people because of their sexual orientation. On the other hand, some are saying it's actually good that a Republican is seeing gay people as just people, because for so long, the Republican Party seems to not have seen gay people in that way. Let's start with the comments he made on Boston Herald Radio.
And listen, it's so tragic that you have people, and a lot of them were gay and lesbian and transgender, and that's deeply unfortunate. But I think it's more than that. They were Americans first. I mean, they weren't. I don't identify the people that were murdered as from a particular class of people. I classify them as Americans, and it was an attack against all Americans, not just one particular class or type of American. So the first thing that I was obviously deeply moved and saddened, but the second thing is I'm pissed, and I want the president to do something about it.
So I don't know that I'd say I have mixed feelings on this, but I have complex feelings about it. On the one hand, it is progress if we can get everybody to just see gay people as people. And that is sort of a small victory that I don't think we want to ignore when it comes from individuals in the Republican Party. At the same time, the Republican Party in the United States has been the party where the broader context is refusing to change laws about firing people just because they're gay, fighting gay marriage nationally and at the state level for a very, very long time, being the defenders of policies that allow so-called sincerely held religious beliefs to allow discrimination against gay individuals. So I totally understand why someone could hear this and say, this is good. We should consider everybody. This is not just an attack on gay people. It's an attack on the idea of the United States of America because of inclusiveness and non-discrimination and whatever. The problem is Scott Brown is not a member of the party that has been waving that flag for decades and decades. So where do you come down on this?
Yeah, there's really no harm in admitting that there are issues here with certain American citizens.
Right.
I don't really think we can determine what his views really are on this from that segment, from what he said. I know that there are plenty of other Republicans who have said, "Oh, well, you're gay. What did you expect?" And there are some that have praised the attack. In not so many, in a way.
Like the pastor whose video we played earlier today.
Yeah. And so I'm completely neutral on this statement from Brown. I know when he was active in Massachusetts, he didn't seem to say or do anything anti-gay.
I don't remember his position on gay marriage, but it was already a done deal in Massachusetts
at the same time.
Here's the
he
problem.
Knew damn well he'd never change anything.
Here's the problem. It comes across as suggesting that in spite the fact that the murder victims were mostly gay, the attack was at a gay club, the killer was a known gay hater, in spite of whatever his own personal sexual orientation was, he's suggesting that the attacks had nothing to do with hatred towards gay people, and that is undeniable. Of course, gay people are Americans to the extent that some of them are American anyway. Of course, all Americans should be disturbed by the attacks, but to suggest that gay hatred was not a motivating factor is where I see this as problematic.
Yeah. You should just admit that that exists, that those feelings exist, that there's really no harm in that. It's a good thing to admit that is present.